Welcome back to TTS Daily. I'm Yi right here. First story of the day, we've been speaking about it for a long time, but this is the golden age for AI, and it's a race to see who will be first in the AI race. So now, starting from September 2025, Beijing, China schools will integrate AI courses into primary and secondary curriculum to foster young talent and support China's growing AI sector. Wow, who didn't see that coming, okay? And they will try to include at least minimum 8 hours of AI education annually, just for primary and secondary school. This is huge because kids nowadays need to start learning how to use AI. In case you are not aware, in most big cities in China like Shanghai and Beijing, most of the kids, secondary school and primary school kids, they are all wearing smartwatches, and we're not talking about the smartwatches made by a certain fruit company, but actually smartwatches homegrown that they have AI capabilities. One of them is the children are encouraged, they have like daily quests, and one of the quests is like make generative art. So you give the AI a prompt on your watch, like what you want to see. Maybe you want to see a yellow robot with firing blue lasers, and then they'll generate the image right there on your watch, on the kid's smartwatch. Children in China have been learning to interact and prompt AI since young. And besides that, over 500 Chinese universities have offered AI courses since 2018 in China. 2018 is 7 years ago. I didn't even thought of AI 7 years ago, but how well ahead China is. And for people thinking that AI is going to replace all our jobs, no, don't worry, because think of AI like an operating system. It's just like now most of us have to learn how to use Windows. Windows can be done for a lot of stuff. Same for AI. AI covers a lot of industries. The best way to learn is just to go ahead and use it. Almost every country have their own AI module. Even Microsoft Windows itself has Microsoft Copilot. OpenAI has ChatGPT. Formerly known as Twitter, now X has Grok AI, and Nvidia has their own AI. China has DeepSeek. So most of them has trial version, free period. Just try all of them, okay? Because different AIs have different ways of prompting them. And just to quote what was once said by the CEO of Nvidia, the number one programming language in the world is going to be English, not C++, not Python. It's going to be English. But at this rate of China embracing AI, I wouldn't be surprised if the number one programming language in the world is going to be Chinese. And we're in Bangkok, Thailand right now, where a woman alleges a taxi driver inappropriately harassed her by touching her leg and smelling her arm. So this happened on March 9, 2025, when this lady took a taxi ride from Sukhum Vivin to Wat San, Sukhum Sat Wan area in Thailand, Bangkok. Okay, the driver actually missed the drop-off at Sukhum Sat Wan Soi 35 and drove off to Soi 35/1. And then he refused to return her phone after checking the map. Even more red flags here. Why doesn't he have his own, phone to check the map, navigation system? He then complimented her as cute, locked the car doors and prevented her from leaving. You can see from this video right here, he can be seen grabbing her arm, talking to her while she appeared to laugh it off. But trust me, this is a woman in fear right now because the doors are locked. She cannot show any fear right here. He then demanded an extra 109 baht for the fare. And as you can see in the video, physically harassed her, grabbing her arm and even her leg, according to her allegedly. Once she managed to get out of the taxi, she showed the video of the incident to her younger sister on March 9, appearing visibly frightened. Her sister confronted the driver by phone. The driver started crying on the phone, begging for forgiveness, begging them not to report him, even asking them to punish him directly instead of reporting it to the authorities, as you can hear from this recording right here. The woman finally reported the incident to the police station by 6 p.m. on March 10, and she is determined to pursue legal action to hold the driver accountable. Police have identified the driver and are now actively searching for him. If you are a female passenger boarding a private hired vehicle or even a taxi, it is very important that once you board the vehicle, you make a call to a friend or a family and tell them where you are at and where you are headed to, no matter what time it is, especially even more so if it's in the late mornings or late nights, okay? This is so that everyone in the vehicle is aware that there is someone who is waiting for you at your point of destination. Stay safe, everyone. Our next story is in Hong Kong, where a Singaporean man, a 75-year-old Singaporean named Liang, has overstayed in Hong Kong for over 10 years after arriving in the 2000s, okay? We do not know the exact year he arrived in Hong Kong, but they say 2000, so even latest is 2009, okay? Unable to work or access financial aid, he lived off savings of over 100,000 Hong Kong dollars. That's about Singapore dollars, $17,000, which is really amazing because if he arrived in 2009 and now it's 2025, he's been living off 17,000 Hong Kong dollars, 17,000 Singapore dollars for over 10 years? How? How does it work out? How do you survive? Tell me, how does it even work? You are surviving on average on 1,000 Singapore dollars a year? Okay, never mind. Anyway, so he has been caught for 2 robbery attempts. The first attempt was on July 1st, 2020 at 8 p.m. at a Manning store. Manning store is a convenience store like Watson's or Guardian's for our Singaporean viewers, okay? Yeah, so anyway, there is a bit of discrepancy or even red flags about him claiming that he lived off savings for over 10 to 20 years on 100,000 Hong Kong dollars. It doesn't make sense because his overdue rent is already Hong Kong $12,000. Anyway, he threatened the cashier with a lighter and a bottle of water, claiming it as petrol, but it was actually water, with a note demanding money. The cashier scolded him and he fled in fear. So this was in 2020. Then 2 years later, on April 2022, he now tried to rob a bank because of debt and overdue rent. He used a damaged firearm, a toy firearm, an airsoft firearm, okay, and handed a note claiming that he had firearm and threatened to open fire. The staff triggered the alarm via mark notes, so when they take mark notes from this certain compartment, the alarm system is automatically triggered, and Liang demanded 14,000 Hong Kong dollars, okay, and fled after threats. He was caught later that day by Hong Kong police at his residence. So now, Liang, on March 10, 2025, has pleaded guilty to 1 count of attempted robbery in 2020 and 1 count of robbery in 2022. And the defense have cited stupidity, poor health, mobility issues to request for a lighter sentence for Liang. He is scheduled for sentencing later. Once again, what is going to happen to him since he has overstayed his stay in Hong Kong for over 10 years? We do not know. Is he going to come back to Singapore? I mean, why does he want to come back to Singapore? We're back in Singapore right now. By now, everyone should have heard of this viral story about this couple in Yishun who runs Nasi Lemak Ayam Tali Wang at Yishun Park Hawker Centre since 2017, and they face scrutiny from NEA. Basically, the stall is registered under Norman's wife, who was 40 weeks pregnant at the time of the incident in February 2025. And on February 18, 2025, Norman posted on Facebook claiming that NEA issued a warning to his wife for not being physically present at the stall, claiming it violated their tenancy agreement, okay? And he reasoned that because the couple has shifted to managing administrative tasks remotely, relying on staff to handle daily operations instead, especially due to the wife's advanced pregnancy. And now, Senior Minister of State Koh Poon Koh stated that requiring hawkers to be physically present is the most practical and fair way to prevent subletting of stalls, and that ensures that the NEA, National Environment Agency, can monitor stall holders via inspections, okay? And he has noted on the case on Mr. Normans and his wife, calling it a one-sided story, as NEA has offered her the option to nominate someone else, which was rejected by her. By the way, she can nominate a family member in this period of time while she is in advanced pregnancy, but it was refused by her. So instead, choosing to air their grievances publicly, which I do not understand. Why couldn't she just nominate someone, especially her husband? And for our last story of the day, too often there are too many cases in Singapore of elderly actually getting into physical altercations, and since both parties are elderly, any of them could get hurt very badly, and it could end very badly, as in this story where it led to one of the parties being unalive. This happened on May 8, 2022 at the Singapore Pools outlet at Marine Parade NTUC Singapore, and the parties involved are Ho, 76, a coffee shop operator, and an 80-year-old man who is the victim. Okay, so we need to give context of what happened before the altercation at the Singapore Pools outlet. So there were prior incidents when the victim allegedly stole kuehs or pastries from a stall in Ho's coffee shop months earlier. So the tenant of the stall complained this to Ho, which Ho then monitored the victim very closely every time he was at his coffee shop. This led to friction with the victim once challenging Ho in Hokkien, saying, "What are you looking at?" Okay, so now on this day, May 8, 2022, Ho and the victim both happened to be at the same Singapore Pools outlet, okay? The victim saw Ho and then exclaimed again to Ho, "What are you looking at?" This escalated into arguments which turned physical, with both exchanging Hokkien vulgarities. Ho initially walked away but returned angrily, threatening the victim by saying, "Later I wait for you outside." He then confronted the victim again while the victim was feeling his batting slips, and Ho pushed the victim's arm, assaulted the victim's head, and shoved his chest. As a result, the victim fell and hit his head on a wooden cabinet. Security guards prevented Ho from leaving the premises, and the victim was held onto a stool. So the victim tried to stand up and walk away, but he actually fell down and he was unconscious at this point. He was then sent to the hospital, where it was discovered that the victim suffered from several skull fractures and brain bleeding. The victim sadly passed away in Changi General Hospital later, succumbing to his injuries. And the autopsy report was death due to head injury from the fall caused by Ho. Ho was arrested on that day, and we have the sentencing now at March 10, 2025. The charge is voluntarily causing hurt leading to grievous hurt, and Ho has been sentenced to 22 months jail. The prosecution sought 1.5 years to 2 years jail, citing Ho's violence and lack of remorse. While the defense argued for Ho's poor health, he has prostate cancer, spine issues, and upcoming cataract surgery being factored into the sentencing. Ho pleaded guilty, and the incident rooted in prior petty theft and ongoing animosity between both parties. Once again, anger management. It seems the elderly might need to take classes on anger management, or even meditation classes, because there is too many news every year on just elderly getting into physical altercations, and elderly are old and they cannot withstand the impact of a fall. It could end really badly on them.